and welcome to the Thursday show. This is your weekly tournament rundown coming up for the best tournaments, the biggest tournaments, the brightest stars happening over the weekend. My name is Paul Murphy, your host, and I'm joined by the ever prolific and wonderful Adam Camilleri
Only because I learned from the best. Hello, Paul. Welcome and happy to be here.
and the yawning void to my right.
Yeah, the blank slate. It can be whoever we want it to be. It's the friend we made along the way. Imaginary bestie.
If you are joining us here on the Competitive 40K page, we are a weekly show where we do talk about the big tournaments coming up over the weekend. We talk about what army lists you're going to see there, some of the players you're going to encounter, some of the list that you might encounter, and also we talk about what it's going to take to beat them and who we think may take it down.
Yeah, we've got an interesting week. It's really cool to see the game in full force again, like full flow. Every week we're just drowning in majors and GT level events, and this week was a really hard one to pick, wasn't it?
Well, it absolutely is, and also want to point out that last week, we kind of encouraged the Death Guard players to bring the A game over the last weekend, and Death Guard brought down best overall at the Battle for Salvation. They can, combine battle points, appearance, and stuff like that. I saw the pictures on Instagram. Looks absolutely amazing, and thanks for putting it out there. I'm sure the other Death Guard players had some success as well, but I got to see that and see the army. It was absolutely awesome.
Fantastic. And Death Guard just in such a strong representation consistently. I mean, I think the last top table they had prior to that, I'm looking on 40k stats, by the way, where if you want, you can track all this stuff, all the top fours for your faction. September was the last time they got a podium. It was a fourth place even, so it wasn't even a true first, second, third podium. That was at the Twisted Dice Devastation. And then they had a couple of podiums in August, a huge amount in July and June, but man, like just one in September, very few in August, and they managed to squeak in one in October so far. So pretty happy for them.
If you're playing in some of the events we're talking about, or you have some events upcoming you'd like us to talk about, throw it in the chat. Happy to hear about it. If you're bold enough to post your list in the chat, if you're going to one of these events, let us know what you are taking. So we're going to talk about the Crucible 9. I want you to try to pronounce the city, Adam.
Okay. Crucible 9 in Kissimmee.
It is Kissimmee. Yeah, so trying to throw you for a loop because
Yeah, well, you know your boy, because I struggle horrifically with pronunciation on the spot. It's like my one weakness.
And the October London Open. What are these running tournaments in London till somebody other than AdMech wins? What are they doing over there?
Yeah, well, the London guys are just like, well, we're the only people who run events in London now. Everybody's out. We're out. We're doing it. Us and Hellstorm gonna lock this whole city down. Just rolling major after major after major. There was I think there was 4 or 5 major events this week, but we picked the 2 ones with the most numbers, I believe. I think there was just a few less at some of the other events, or a few more here or
I'm
there.
kidding, of course. Glad to see people getting back out there and stuff. It's cool to see an active scene, especially in a major city like that.
Well, spot on. Things are really starting to pick up, and Orlando's becoming a bit of a hub as well. We got Crucible that's been held there. I think this is the 8th or 9th year they've held it in a row, and then of course they had the Games Workshop event there earlier this year. So man, they've gotten some real nice cities here, there, and everywhere. Some capitals in some states that are really getting some hubs going.
Yeah, of course, I know the folks that are there helping together Crucible and have been done in the past. Absolutely great folks. If you can get to that tournament, it is a long-standing tournament. Lots of good
Mm,
personalities come out there. A lot of locals play there. It's going to be stiff with competition.
exactly right. Now, if you think this weekend is crazy, you wait and see what next weekend's going to be like, mate. Next weekend we have SoCal. We have a Goonhammer 120 player event in the UK, and we have Stud or Snotling or Stud or Scrub, which our lovely man Dustin, who's like the blank third party, is going to be running next week. So 3 majors to reaching for that super major status. It's going to be a really, really big weekend this week as well. But let's jump in. You want to get some quick and dirties going for Crucible?
Yeah, tell us what we got happening at Crucible.
All right, let's bring up those quick and dirty stats to see what's going on. Do you remember last week, Paul? We just had, I don't know what happened, but Sisters was just the most represented faction at everything. There was just sisters,
Yep.
and it's so weird to see that the next week that is not the case. At least for Crucible to start off with, because it starts off with only 3 sisters players, which is that is literally 10 less than from a similar event last week. It's
Yeah,
completely
I mean,
insane.
we can talk about it in a second, but I wonder if folks are abandoning them for other factions, like the orcs are,
Yeah,
more
well,
defensive
so
list.
Either that or it's like a rotation because not a lot of people can go to, a GT or major one week and go to another one the next week. So maybe it's like next week or the week after, all those sisters players will be back and they're just on a bit of a cycle. But then we have 4 Custodes players, 2 Admech, which is well unders, 0 Astra Militarum, 7 Grey Knights, and 3 Imperial Knights, totaling 19 Imperium lists rather, sorry. Of course, because we break out the Space Marines. But what do you see there, mate? I mean, zero Astra Militarum. Let's hope we see that change next week or the week after because Octarius is dropping. But 2 Admech and 3 Sisters is well unders. Custodes having more than both of them, and Grey Knights, but more than both of them put together.
Well, I mean, talking about it very plainly, at these competitive events where people are trying to bring their best list, it's either you have to be the AdMech or beat the AdMech, and maybe we see people that have thought, you know what, I have AdMech's number, I'm not going to play them. I'm going to bring what takes them out. But then if they're not there, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, so it was touted by Games Workshop. There was a MetaWatch article that came out literally yesterday stating that at the last GW event, which was on GW terrain, I can tell you, I believe and I'm quite certain that Crucible is also playing a Games Workshop terrain format, and AdMech only had a 48% win percentage on that terrain on that setup. And so maybe people have just been like, well, I didn't crush at the last Games Workshop event I went to. I guess I'm playing my Grey Knights, my Custodes for this one because they'll just go well on every terrain.
I like that we see some great nights. I'm actually surprised we have not seen them performing a little bit better.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, so I think they are the A plus faction at the moment. If I had to call it, there's the S tier guys. That's Admech, that's Drakari, and then like we've got Grey Knights just waiting in the wings. They like brutalize everybody else, but just hit this ceiling when they go into, I think Admech especially, but also Drakari, because at least Drakari, all their weapons feel good into Drakari. But there are some things that just don't feel right into Admech, like Rustalkers with that can turn on things like fights last and hellacious
Additional saves
overwatches and
whenever they want it, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right,
yeah.
exactly right. And so you're shooting a Stormbolter into a Lucius Vanguard model, and you think this should feel good, and all of a sudden they're taking a 2-up or a 3-up saving. Like this does not feel good.
Does not feel as good as I want to. And then,
Yeah.
well, so right now there are kind of untested. Like, there's nobody out there that I think has really cracked that code on the Grey Knights that says this is
Mm,
the list that's going to give me a puncher's chance in every single situation. And so I don't know if and there may not be that one
mm.
take all comers type list in there. Maybe they have to be kind of specialized and pick their shots.
Yeah. Well, we called it quite a while ago when we looked through that. When you and I looked through that book, we were like, "Hey, Dread Knights are phenomenally powerful. They're incredible. But my God, the power armor, man, the power armor models. Just pick whichever power armor models you want, chuck them in your list. They are going to be good." And I think we might end up seeing that maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months from now, if they start running into some larger problems in the meta. But jumping
Yeah,
down from there
but I
to
think
the
also psychic powers. I mean, we talk about when we get to the Thousand Suns too. Is that I don't think anyone's really diving deep into how do I overwhelm my opponents in the psychic phase.
mm,
And these things are incredibly. These two lists that we're going to talk about, or at least factions we're talking about, are capable of doing it. And I don't see we've seen anybody lean into that yet.
yeah, well, exactly right. The Grey Knights and T Suns coming out at the same time kind of did a disservice to both, didn't they? Because they're kind of each other's check and balance. If you put them head to head, in that situation, a lot of the time the T Suns has a little bit better durability because they got invulnerable saves across the board. But where they get like half of their damage from, because they're usually kind of a 50% shooty, 50% psychic with a little bit of melee. Half of that damage just doesn't work that well. A third of it gets gone, and that's if it doesn't get denied. So they kind of butt heads a bit, and we're seeing the Grey Knights have come out on top as it sits right now because Grey Knights are just faster. They're just a bit more dynamic, which just turns into more points at the end of the game a lot of the time. But jumping down to the Marine super faction, 0 people listed themselves as Adeptus Astartes. Thank you very much. If you are like a Raven Guard successor, just list yourselves as Raven Guard. Don't, because I'm a special Snowflake Space Wolf successor. You're Space Wolves, okay? We got 3 Dark
Throwing
Angels,
off the
2
math is
yeah, 3 Dark Angels, 2 Space Wolves, 2 Blood Angels, 0 Ultramarines, 1 Iron Hands, 0 White Scars, 0 Salamanders, 3 Death Watch, and 0 Black Templars. I hope to see a Black Templars number, flip up
this is
in the near
surprising.
future.
Just the fact that
Yeah.
there are this few Marines in attendance at all is very surprising because
Legit,
typically, and
yeah.
look, we're talking about there's a variety of people that come to tournaments. If you're new to tournaments,
Mm,
you find people that are there for all kind of reasons. There's some people that are playing, the no fat, exactly what they think can go all the way, win every single one of their games, with don't have with no particular consideration for the lore or faction or whatever. Then
mm.
you got people that this is just their army. They really love the way this
Yeah.
is, and so they're going to bring that. You got some people that have I painted this one unit last week and I want to get them on the table. So
Mm.
so you got those kind
Well,
of folks. Yeah, but
I,
this
th-
is
I th-
that's why I expect to see more Space Marines.
Well, I think that's what we're down to. I think we're down to the dedicated players because I think everyone else has gone to greener pastures or decided that they need a break from Marines. I mean, because dedicated Marine players have been playing Marines for a long time at this point, unless you're constantly picking up the next supplement after, in which case you're probably getting pumped up for Black Templars at the moment. But yeah, zero White Scars I always found interesting. I always expect to see one or two White Scars at every event just because I feel like they're semi evergreen. Like you can always like the same as Blood Angels, yeah. A smashy Blood Angels list is just going to be fun, even if you get your ass kicked. It's
Okay, I was
just
about
going
to
to
say
be a good time.
White Scars are not the same as Blood Angels, and Blood Angels are not the
But
same as White Scars.
you know what
Uh,
I mean? Like they're an aggressive, fun, dynamic army.
yeah,
Even if you get your head kicked,
you
you
have
probably
tricks.
had
You
a good
feel like
time.
you're doing
Yeah,
something. Like, oh, I'm
yeah.
about to do this. I'm about to do this thing, and White Scars are capable of doing things on the table.
But you're absolutely right. That total, only 11 out of 74 players. I usually expect to see about a third more than that. We usually expect to see
Mhm.
like 16, 18 Space Marine players from this player pool. So them dropping off is pretty indicative of some shifts. Jumping down to the Chaos Super faction. Zero Chaos Soup, zero Chaos Space Marines, zero Renegade Knights. We've got sixes for T-Suns and Death Guard, and another donut for Demons. Interesting, like usually there's a perennial, like you said, Paul, there's usually a one or two faction specialists for Demons and Chaos Space Marines in every meta. And it's just interesting that I think those are being homogenized now. It's either you're playing T Suns or you're playing Death Card. If you're a dedicated, holistic Chaos player, I'm assuming.
I'll save my comments for the very end, or at least expound on this. But I think we're seeing a very mature meta here in the Crucible, in Florida specifically. And so some of these, I think some of the folks that might have taken more casual list are filtering towards more of the ones they think are going to be aggressive or going to give them that puncher's chance we were talking about against some of the leaner list.
Yes, yeah, some of the leaner lists, absolutely. Do you think so? Having called a couple of the games on the G Dub tables, do you think they help or hinder demons specifically? Because I thought it would have helped demons.
Well, demons are one of those that you see right now. They don't seem to be making a huge impact unless they're playing a very specific type. If you're playing, you can
Hmm.
get by with the lower toughness models. You can get by with a lot of bore controls, like what we saw. I think we were calling it like the Zinch carpet. You know,
Yeah,
the fiery carpet
yeah,
of models. It was doing incredibly well. So you hear about this is the terrain, this terrain, that, but what it really does is it gives you actual firing lanes, and I think it
mm,
really helps assist in certainly not maybe the only way to do it, but the best way I've seen so far of developing mid-board or later game strategies. You don't have to necessarily bank on getting all your work done in turn one or two of the game. You will be able to actually explore a
yeah.
strategy and try to manifest to actively work towards that.
Exactly, and that's because your deployment zone is so well insulated that you're not just going to get gutted turn one or turn two, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the we saw like the Flyers come and make a huge big impact because they
Mm.
take that out of the equation. The
Well,
Flyers
exactly. They
allow for that, so we'll see a shift in that. So there's this cycle of if you create this environment where that is a factor, then players doing what we do will figure out ways to make it
mm,
less of a factor. And what we'll see these codexes that we've talked about are ones that have active and viable ninth edition, full on ninth edition codexes.
spot on. Moving down to the Xeno super faction. This is actually quite healthy. Five Necrons, six Orcs, and a single Tau. Now that single Tau is like 100% more than we usually see, so that's good. But six Orcs is very healthy, and five Necrons is extremely healthy also. Although the Necrons actually feels a little bit unders, and maybe we're getting to a point where there is this kind of plateau happening for the Necron players out there, and they're down to the diehards possibly because
We
they
got some
are.
demons sounding off in the chat, and I think you can play demons, but I think you have to look at more of the. You got to kind of flood the board, I think, and that's where you want to be.
Fair enough. And that's SNIGS 28, yeah, 74. Yeah, welcome and thanks for joining us, dude. But yeah, demons, it's in an interesting spot. because I think they can do a lot of really interesting things. I still think they have the most durable point for point unit in the game, being Beast of Nurgle for 35 odd points. Like 5 wins with the 5 up, 5 up is just nuts to chuck on an objective, especially it's got a heroic intervention on top. But it's
Wow.
funny, I just see them. Well, I think AdMech are a big pain for him. I think the fact that AdMech can spam strength 5 weaponry and better means that those things aren't quite as reliable. You just need that 2 up or 1 up save that things like Terminators bring, which unfortunately demons just don't have any access to, even a 3 up save
Yeah,
outside of demons.
that's why I think you got
Yeah.
to kind of go in favor of just more bodies to do
Mm.
these types of things and hug the train. Matthew Nurgle, I'd love to get a little demon on Blood Angel showdown one day with you. Let me
Oh,
know.
be very nice. But yeah, 6 orcs, which is a good representation for orcs, and we expect orcs to be on the up and up as more people coalesce and get their hands on some of the newer stuff. I mean, kill rigs have only just hit the meta, and I think they're a phenomenal unit. I
You think
expect
we're
to
going to
see
see
them.
some
Well,
here?
I know there's a gentleman bringing 2 in one of his lists, and we're going to be talking
Yeah.
about that one a little bit later on. But onto the Hive Mind super faction. It has, I don't know why I've got a total of 5 lists here, because there's 0 Hive Mind, 3 Tyranids, and
See,
0 GSC. So I've got my
your
total
Auspex
wrong.
scan blipped up like, oh my god, there should be two more lists here. That's inside the room.
um, yeah. So, but 3 nids. That's actually pretty good for nids in the last couple of months. That's probably a couple. It's usually we see 1 or 2, to be honest. So 3, cool. I hope they do really well. And maybe this is another way, because the GW terrain might be giving them a bit of a leg up. Things like Hive Guard are just that much more well protected.
I just made an 80s TV reference and Adam ignored me.
Did it bounced right off? I
Sorry,
am so
movies,
sorry.
not TV. But
What was it from? What was it from?
oh no, aliens. They're reading their scanners,
Oh yeah.
and it's
They're
like
all around us,
that's
man.
inside
That's
the
exactly
20
right.
meters. That's inside the room.
They're inside the walls.
Yeah.
Hudson. And the last of our super factions. This is the Eldari super faction. 2 mixed Eldari, 6 Drakari, 1 Harlequins, 0 Crafted, 0 Asurani, a total of 9 lists. The 6 Drakari is about on par, and I'll point out to people the faction podium for this event. Grey Knights, most represented faction at 7, and then you have a 3-way scrum for second place. Orcs with 6 lists, Drakai with 6 lists, Death Guard and T-Suns all with 6 lists. So 4 factions have a nice homogenous 6 lists each, and then Grey Knights with the 7. I think that makes for a really interesting meta, guys. Like usually we would see, 13 sisters, 12 Admech, 12 Drakai, and it'd be like, well, Drakai or Admech are winning this. But I
You
think this
see
win
those numbers
might.
in a 50-person tournament. This is a 74
Exactly.
person tournament with
Exactly
this
right, dude.
list diversity.
Yeah. Spot on. I think this could be a really, really interesting event.
Yeah, I like Kara Quinn says, how many of these folks are going for best in faction? Like how
True.
the freedom of the Tau player to just be able to roll it. He can basically just do whatever he wants. Yeah, I just left that objective. Who cares?
Yeah, spot on. I mean, the best in faction is such a nice feather in the cap for literally anybody. And even like getting a podium of best in faction is a huge achievement. A top 5 is a huge achievement.
Well,
I don't know how close you've come with Blood Angels. We should do this for a challenge one year, mate. We should be like, I'll go Dark Angels, you go Blood Angels. May the best man win in
yep.
the faction ladder.
Just how many
Um,
podiums is yeah.
yeah. So I won best in faction for Guard in Australia twice, and I made the top 5 over. I mean, the year Brandon Grant won the LVO. Um, I think I was top 5. I can't remember if I was top 5 or top 3. Probably top 5, seeing as how big that LVO was. But yeah, I hang my hat on that. I think that's a big deal for me. I love that I managed to do that with that army when it
Oh,
was
it
in its
is a big
prime.
deal. And look, and I was, of course, being a little bit of tongue in cheek about saying going on autopilot. There are people that, I mean, like we talk about, why you even come to these things, what you're playing, what you're
Mm,
getting your
mm.
getting your 5 games in over that weekend or more or whatever. Maybe the only games you get that month. So play what you want to play. Like play
Exactly, dude.
what you're passionate about.
And brother, you're a huge advocate for this. If you need to grind on a faction that's not doing great, find the ways, find the means, find
Yeah.
the things that are clubbing you, and just grind into them. Figure out the little 1 or 2 pointers that are going to make the difference
Look deep
into
into
the
your
overall score.
codex. Take things
Yeah,
that
look.
Vespids. So everybody going to tell you don't take Vespids. Well, Vespids might have won me 3 games because I was able to get a late game objective or something. Like just
Yeah.
you play it how it lands with your codex, and I love the players that spend that kind of time with their codexes are more dangerous than almost any other
Mm,
player out there. Then that's the category. You've got the people that play 40K 3 games a day or whatever, and then you've got the diehard
yeah.
people that play their faction for 10 years, or more.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly right.
that's the rank. That's the predatory. The like the
Mm.
hierarchy of who I don't want to be fighting out there in the jungle or whatever. It's
Yeah, and yeah, great point. Well said. Moving on to the top players in attendance. John Lennon. I mean, this is Florida. This is Art of War backyard. So unfortunately, all four of the top players in attendance are from the Art of War team, but whatever, that they're doing well. That's where they're at. But they're all bringing different lists, so that's why I'm not too afraid to talk about it. We've got John Lennon. He's currently ranked number second in the USA and number second overall. Brad, the old Manchester, having just taken first place from him in the ITC rankings for the world. But he has taken a little bit of an interesting choice. He's taken Imperial Knights to this one. He's taking a three-blade lance with three Majeras, three Armiger Warglaives, and a single Moirax. Now, Paul, are you familiar with how this three-blade lance works?
No, tell me about it.
So usually a free blade, what you get when you take a free blade model is you get instead of you give up like your craft bonus, your Tyrannus bonus, your essentially your chapter bonus, and instead you get a burden and a bonus, essentially like a pro and a negative, and you roll leadership at the start of your turn. If you pass your leadership test, you get the bonus part. If you fail it, you get the bonus and you get the downside at the same time. Now, but what the free blade lance lets you do, it lets you double up and triple up on those things. I think you always could double and triple up on them, but you were limited on how many free blades you could take in a unit in an army. But if you combine them with this army of renown and you take all of the both trees, you can then start doubling and tripling up. It's the same as very similar to the Drukhari combat drugs. Now, there are some cool things you can do on the Megaeras if you can triple them up. If you can take enough little Armigers, the Free Blade Lance will let you take two bonuses, two benefits, and one downside. And then you get to do exciting things like all three of John's Megaeras have objective secured, which is huge, and get a free reroll every battle round. That can be a hit, a wound, a damage, or a saving throw. And that saving throw one is where it's really, really key.
And this is combining a lot of rules here. You're talking about things from the Imperium, the Compendium, the campaign book, and the Codex itself.
Was it Book of Rust or Book of? I think it was Book of Rust.
Yeah.
So Book of Rust, the Imperial Knights Codex, and the Imperial Armor Compendium.
So digging deep on this to get a lot of rules here. Yeah.
It's a very interesting list. I'm actually a big fan of it. If I was playing Knights right now, I think this is the way to go. And yeah, it doesn't matter. You've offloaded all the bad downsides onto your little Knights that you don't really care about, and so all your big Knights just get extra premium. And yes, I'm a huge fan of this list. I think it'll do very well. And was it Knights that did really well? Was it at Orlando or was it at NOLA for G-Dub? Because this is G-Dub terrain again.
Knights did really well in New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously John is on that train. Now I will tell you a little bit of the insight on John Lennon's psyche at the moment. He's semi-burnt. He's getting a little bit burnt out. If he putting his nose to the angle grinder of competitive 40k for the whole season so far, and he's second in the world. But yeah, he's decided he wants to take.
You can't ease up.
Well, so it's not so much easing up. It's the fact that he can take his foot off the pedal because this event. Even if he wins this event, it's not going to replace any of his scores, so to speak, for the ITC. So he just has a bit of freedom in that slot to take. Hey, this is an army I've just always wanted to play. So
that may explain the Knights. The Knights are amazing, especially the Knights are ones. So if you are traveling to tournaments and endurance is an issue for you, or you feel like, oh, I'm just going to be worn out if I'm moving these 120 models for 7 games or whatever every round.
I mean,
Knights take a lot of that away from you.
Well, and true, but I mean, he's in his early 20s. Surely he doesn't have that excuse like us old farts.
I'm just talking about for folks out there that may be thinking about it. I don't know how to get into this, or my orc hoarder or whatever is I don't look forward to moving that around. Well, you know what? You could do a Stampa and some Gorkanauts and still play orcs and get you through the weekend.
Either that or get a very good plank regime going. Plank. 2 or 3 minutes a day every day, and so you can play your Orc Horde for like a 9-round event. It's just a reality. Next up, fourth in the USA, we have Jack Harpster playing Blood Angels. He's your boy, Paul.
Yep.
Single battalion detachment, Dante, Sang Priest, Primaris Chaplain on a bike, a couple of Incursors and Intercessor squads, a Sangard Ancient, of course, 20 Sangard in a unit of 7, a unit of 7, a unit of 6, 5 Death Company, which I believe have Thunderhammers, and then 10
4 of them have Thunderhammers. This is the same list that he took to the Orlando Open for the Games Workshop series events, and even like the list was copied and had not the exact same success because never take out the skill of the pilot, and other some random factors as well, but skill of the pilot has a lot to do with it. But he did incredibly well with this list at the Orlando tournament. I expect to do incredibly well at this tournament as well.
Oh, it's going to be good, and this is the prime example of the list that I said that even if you get your teeth kicked in, you're probably having a good time, right?
Oh, you are. This one because your tricks go off. Like, oh, I get to Forlorn
Yeah.
Fury sometimes. Oh, how
Mm,
sweet is that when you Forlorn Fury with 4 Death Company Thunder Hammers coming across the table? Yeah, then of course all the tricks you can do with the Sanguinary Guard. But well, I will say it's even more satisfying with a terrain layout that's conducive to actual maneuvering, moving with a purpose, as our buddy Red says on FTN,
mm.
is that you can maneuver around and when you're maneuvering with close combat troops or troops that need that positioning power and your skill to be involved to keeping them on the table, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, nothing feels as like you've reached like flow state than your movement phase, just setting up for your fight, setting up for
Yeah,
everything. Everything just flows on beautifully, and just like life is good. And yeah, like I said, White Scars and Blood Angels just seem to do that the best. Space
yeah.
Wolves to a different degree, depending on which units you take. Um,
Space Wolves, I mean, they're on the rise. I know, like I think,
they
yeah,
are,
Wolf
man.
Priest crawls in the chat. Wolf Priests are on the rise. Do not count them out. They have so many little tricks and abilities that allow them to do those out of phase things. That's why I actually expected to
Mm.
see more, for in the roster up there. But hey,
Absolutely right. I keep thinking I'm going to see more Space Wolves than like White Scars than Blood Angels, and so far there are 0 White Scars, 2 Space Wolves players at this event, so that's holding true. But yeah, it's just a different tool set the Space Wolves have than any other aggressive Marine faction, and it's really exciting. And maybe it's a medical. Maybe people are like, I don't think those things get as much activation here because they're expecting less sisters, less admech, whatnot. Maybe they know more than we do, seeing things from the eagle eye perspective. But yeah, I keep expecting to see like Space Wolves explode because I look at their tool set. I'm just like, this is good, this is good, this is good, this
yeah.
is good. It just
Well,
keeps
when you
going.
can make it so when you can get that close quarter ability, so some of their tricks start to fire off like the 6 inch
Mm,
heroic intervention, and it just really makes them, you get more value, get the value that's
yeah.
intended out of them because you're able to maneuver better with them and make them factors later in the game. So just take that savvy space wolf generals out there. There is hope. But let's jump down to this next list. I know we're burning through time or whatever, but let's Nick Nanavati.
Yeah, your boy, your second chair or co-chair at the GW events. He's 10th ranked in Australia in the USA at the moment.
He might be
Um,
10th ranked in Australia too, man. It could be
could
playing
could
all over the
be.
place.
Who could be absolutely? He's playing Grey Knights. He's got a patrol of sword bearers and an outrider of Prescient Brethren. Petrolian. That's a patrol and a battalion put together. I'll coin that phrase from now
That's
on.
only that's
He's got,
four that's four CP.
it is. You get, you get force. He's got a Livy, a Grandmaster Dread Knight, some strikes, 2 regular Dread Knights, a Techie. Next attachment has a Grandmaster Dread Knight as well, 30 Interceptors, and the last of his Dread Knights. That's
Look,
5 Dreadnoughts total, 2 Grandmasters, a couple of strikes, and 30 Interceptors. This thing
remember when
is
I said
fearsome.
a couple minutes ago that nobody's figured out what the Grey Knight code is? Nobody's leaning hard into the psychers. Nobody's
Mm.
doing it. I think Mr. Nadavati is doing it, and we're going to see if it's got the legs.
See, this is a weird one. Yeah, he's not leaning that heavy on the psychic. He's like the psychic is the cherry on top for having a good shooting, good combat list, and he's just taken like literally. This is just the best stuff in the book right now. Dread Knights and Interceptors, mush. Off we go. Enjoy,
Interceptors,
enjoy.
yeah, that's actually one of the things that I they were good for a period of time, and I think now they have come back. And it's an easy swap for the kit. Like if you have some strike squads or some purifiers that you aren't,
Mm.
weren't using before, snap those backpacks off and put those pokey ones on there
Legit.
and go to
Chances
work.
are you've got a bunch of the pokey ones sitting around. Just chop off the pokey bits if you
Yep.
want, and just a little bit of super glue that paint them nicely. A little bit of super glue on top, and no, I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, oh,
Just pop
yeah,
the backpack off if you use
that's
plastic.
true. That's true.
If you use plastic
If
glue, then you
it's
got
mm,
a bigger hobby project on you. If you
yeah,
use super glue thin or whatever.
there's a few go for next week or the week after. Is super glue just a better glue for the modern era of 40k because you want to snap arms off and stuff
Yeah.
now, well, a
How
lot
much
more
of a
often.
pain are magnets? That's a good fuego topic. Well,
That's yeah. I agree there. But yeah, this is just a good list. This is just gonna smash. Like 5 Dread Knights, 30 Interceptors. It's just so strong.
yeah. I think this
Yeah.
is this is incredibly well prepared to do well
Mm.
with what's out there. Like to
Uh,
basically just to kick
Is it
basically
is it
everything that's out there.
so next up we have Mark Perry, who's 18th in the USA right now. And of course, for those of you who don't know our format, we will pick out any of the lists of players in representation that are in the top 20 of their respective ranking. So this event is in the United States, so we picked out anybody in the top 20 of the United States rankings and did a little synopsis of their list. Mark Perry's ranked 18th. He's playing Orcs. He's got an Outrider and a Patrol. What would those to be put together? An out pat? I don't know. Of freebooters. He's got a KFF mech, 3 scrap jets, 3 singles, a unit of commandos, 2 dragsters, shock up dragsters in singles, 2 kill rigs. This is, as I pointed out this before.
That's the change in his list here. So obviously I had to scoop out some things for the kill rigs, and the kill rigs, they are dominant. This list is also going to do incredibly well. I expect to see this list in the finals.
Mate, for their points, I think they are amazing. He's going to got 2 Wasbomb Blaster Jets. His next attachment starts with the Warboss on bike, a unit of Beast Snagger Boys, 10 burners, 2 units of 5 Burner Boys, which I think is really cool, and 3 Rocket Trucks, a unit of 2 and a unit of 1. Yep. This list is savagery.
Yeah, I like it how it has just, no matter where you look, you're going to see just threat. You know, there's almost nothing you can do to take that pressure off of you, unless you start eliminating his entire army, which we know can happen. There are some things that can get through the Orc defenses, but you know, is it present at the tournament? Does he need that Knight player? Does he need John Lennon to take him out to stop from going to running the whole way? I predict Perry and Nanavati in the finals. Nanavati's obviously going to come out on top, but it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, the slobber knocker.
Spot on. Now, when I saw Killrig start to come up on the scene again, I had to go and take another look at their profile. They got 16 wounds with toughness 8 and a 3+ armor save. Just you know, and then they've got a swathe. They've got a trample capacity, which of course is where his Burner Boys are going. He's got a probably 5/5 or 10/0. They open top, so the Burner Boys get to shoot out, which means, you know, if you're playing in the mirror match and somebody flies a Dakar jet too close, bang, Burner Boys just knock that guy out of the sky. Really, really, really good. And of course the commandos go in the other one, and they've just got a bunch of stuff they can get +1 to hit. They move 12, weapon skill 3+, bliss skill 5+, of course. But man, I just think they're such a value pick. How many points are they again? Because I remember looking at them and being incredulous. I'm just going to
like 35 points or something, but no, they're pretty modest if I remember right on the points cost. I think they are a value option. And yeah, we got a call that says, don't know what I feel about this list, and I'll tell you, with Mark Perry's list, you can look at a Mark Perry list and be like, I have no idea what this is supposed to do. So the fact that you can look at it, know what it's supposed to do, know he's a great player, I think it's going to be dangerous, and then you know, I'm combining the list with the skill of the player. I know it's going to be electrifying to watch.
So just to let you know, when this list goes first, there's a good. I want to get the freebooters archetype list out. I want to ask the Falcon, what is this win percentage going first? Because I think it's something absurd. The amount of damage this thing could put out turn 1, the sheer density of Dakar it has is obnoxious at times. It can be really hampered by like a super and ultra dense table. This thing really actually starts to get some problems just deploying on certain tables. I'd actually love to see how it would go in the scouring on that like small compact deployment, and just see try and place all these models, because it is a big footprint army. But the better the terrain is, the kind of more this gets hamstrung. But the surprising thing is, it's very mobile. It's actually very mobile. You talked about firing lanes at all. This list makes really good use of them,
or doesn't need them in some cases.
Exactly right. So you're going to pick the winner, Nick Nanavati, if he attends. Apparently, someone in the chat has mentioned he may not be attending, versus Mark Perry, and you think the Grey Knights are going to take it?
I do. If everything stands as it is, I think it's going to be. That's what I think. The final is going to be, and I think it's coming out on top. Dustin, let's get Dustin in. This is welcome to the show, Dustin. Oh, he's muted.
You're muted, mate.
Look, we're adding lots of complexity to this. If you're hanging out with us, thank you very much for listening and watching. We're actually gonna do some fun stuff here in just a second. We're gonna take a break for our world from our sponsor.
Mm-hmm. We're hitting the big leagues. We have an ad to roll.
Well, Dustin gets sorted. Sorry, Adam, I jumped in there, but I wanted to make sure that folks, if they weren't watching, they knew that we had our man here.
At Frontline Gaming, we make the best tabletop gaming mats in the universe. Our mats are durable, rollable, foldable, wipeable, and storable. Oh, and they look damn great too. Join the thousands of tournament regulars and garage gamers who use our mats to bring their gaming surfaces to life. To ensure quality, Frontline Gaming mats are custom made one at a time, printed with high quality ink, Our immersive designs stay crisp and are available in a wide range of styles and sizes. So whether you're playing a war game or skirmish game, whether you're fighting over an alien tundra, fantastical forest, or real-world setting, there's a great-looking battlefield for you. Our gaming mats are printed on extremely durable neoprene backing, so they won't slide around the table, and they're thick enough to stay flat, protecting what's underneath and allowing for slight uneven surfaces. We know from experience that an easily portable gaming surface is just better. Every mat comes with a sturdy nylon zip-up bag for storage and transportation. Whether your next battle is in your home or at the local game store, you'll be able to unroll your FLG mat and get gaming right away. Our products are all made and tested by passionate gamers at Frontline Gaming HQ right here in the USA. It's time to take your battlefield to a new level. Frontline Gaming, champions of tabletop.
Look at that. Please check out the sponsor. I mean, that stuff is great. Use some of it myself every now and then. It looks awesome.
I own a couple of them mats.
I own all of them. By the way, surprise uprising! I'm here with my GSC.
Coming in for we actually you missed that we had a whole bit to where there's 2 phantom lists on Adam's count for the Hive Mind and Forces of the Gene Stealer. We couldn't find them, and we just assumed it was.
You know why? It's because they're only blips. We got close enough, and they just
blips.
disappeared.
You're not going to be able to. Not going to see them unless they want you to see them. This is the whole thing with GSC. I know. I literally just finished playing a game with my pure GSC against some Drakari, so I'm in the mood for some GSC, boys.
So we're going to talk about the London October London Open right now. This is a dense scene, great players in attendance. I think it's going to be. I think we got Dustin now.
Oh, I was Murder She Wrote for a little bit.
London, so the UK scene is a slobber knocker. It's knocking me down with how vibrant it is at the moment.
Yeah.
Every week, it seems like they got a major every week. It's not a big place, guys. Putting it out there. It's quite small, but they have such a diehard, dedicated, and prolific scene that every week, just week in, week out, major GT. It's a good time to be alive for the UK player.
64 players here. It's a major. Adam, if you want to run down quickly what we got there.
Quick and dirty stats.
Something a little bit more familiar in the Space Marine section, but we'll get there.
Yes, it is. Imperial Super Faction, again, only 2 sisters. We've seen just like sisters explode last week and then are just very quiet this week. 2 Custodes, 5 Admech, this is usually what we would expect to see, 3 Grey Knights and 0 Imperial Knights, totaling 12 lists. I mean, Grey Knights probably around 3 lists is a little bit unders. I expect them to be around 5, the same as Admech, and we know from recent months, the UK is like Admech Heartland. That is like the binary Admech zone right now. Is the killing zone. Skitarii running rampant.
That's fair.
And then jumping down to the next, we have the Space Marine Super Faction, 5 Adeptus Astartes, 4 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves. So yeah, 5 people didn't list their Astartes faction, guys. Get it together, letting the team down. 3 Space Wolves, 0 Dark Angels, 0 Blood Angels, 0 Death Watch, 2 Iron Hands, 1 White Scars, 1 Ultramarines, 0 Black Templars. Once again, 2 weeks in a row. 2 events in a row, 0 BTs.
I think Adam should just be able to assign people's factions to them. If you just go as Adeptus Astartes, whatever Adam says you're playing, that's the chapter you're playing for that.
That's now it's more. So Black Templars may not be allowed to be used. So that's probably why we're seeing zeros on there.
Well, you're exactly spot on. We saw the same thing with the Orcs. The Orcs actually dropped off before their codex was actually formally released. I mean, the Black Templars, pre-release stuff isn't out until this weekend, so they'd have to be letting in people who bought the special box set because the actual official release isn't out.
Putting it together, the day of or whatever. It's
yeah, exactly. It's just not going to be a thing. So I'm not surprised by that, but I'm surprised we still didn't see 1 or 2 people just getting their last shot to play with the old supplement before it goes to as a pasture.
Let's talk about this Iron Hands. 2 Iron Hands. Either they're longtime factions or they're taken for the things because Iron Hands we saw have the ability to kind of hang.
They hang, man. They absolutely hang, especially in the UK. The UK is the if I was to call the 3 things or 2 or 3 things that the UK has in their meta or describes their meta, they have prolific Admech and they have prolific use of Iron Hands and Death Watch lists. That seems to be the 2 things that their terrain tables, their layouts seem to excel. Of course, Admech excels everywhere, but especially in the UK, it just freaking dominates. 77% win chance in the weekend previous to this one for Admech in the way that they went at those events. Crazy, like above and beyond anything we've seen for a very long time.
Yeah,
Um,
seeing a call in the chat. Bust out those Death Watch.
yeah, exactly right.
not?
Bust out the Death Watch for sure. Now jumping down to the Chaos Super faction, 2 Chaos Soup, 1 Chaos Space Marines, 4 T-Suns, 5 Death Guard, 1 Demons. Still, once again, a nice little bit of homogeny. 5 Death Guard, 4 T-Suns, sitting pretty prime there. Still, I always expect to see 1 Demons, 1 Chaos Space Marines. In fact, I think I called it in the last review. I'm like, I always expect to see 1 diehard for each of those, and then a couple of Chaos Soup players. Total of 13 players there, which actually is pretty. You can be pretty happy. So technically, if you take the Space Marines out, there is 1 more Chaos player than there is in Imperium players, 12 to 13. It's kind of nice. I like that. But
I think you can
add
still make
Space
a
Marines
case
and
for
it's
things, like Abaddon and Noise Marines, and there's some tricks in Chaos
dude,
Space Marines.
for sure. If you are willing to dive into the tech and just stick detachment together, like you're not starting with many CP, but you can get one of the deepest toolbox lists in the game by just smashing out all the awesome
Yep.
chaos stuff. Alpha Legion is still very strong. Iron Warrior is still very strong. Black Legion have some of the most unique stratagems. I think one of the most unique stratagems in Destroyer of Worlds or whatever it's called, where you turn off other people's obsec.
Objectives, yeah.
Just if you can just pull that off, if you're good enough to just pull that off, that's just like a game winner sometimes. Yeah, really, really, really cool. Jumping down to the Xenos super faction, 2 Necrons, 4 Orcs, Donut for Tau, and 6 total lists. 4 Orcs, I think, might be on par or a little under to what I thought I'd see here. I thought I'd see 5, 6, 7. 4 might be a little bit less, and 2 Necrons. I mean, I think that is just, unfortunately, the arse has just fallen out of Necrons in the UK. They really struggle to hang in that mode. But what do you guys think?
With Necrons in general, I feel like we've been saying it before too. Necrons are very strong, and they actually do have some play. I think London, the meta there, they seem to struggle a lot with the things that they're starting to see there a lot more. AdMech is very prevalent in London, I've found. And
Necrons into AdMech, one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Exactly.
Oh, you shoot longer. You shoot farther with better weapons.
Shoot
okay,
longer, better, stronger, faster. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Orcs on the other hand, like 4 Orcs. I think that's on par. I think that's about right with the number of people there.
No, that's fair. Any thoughts, Paul?
I'm curious as to what the composition of the list are. So
True.
starting with like the Thousand Suns there, that from the previous faction breakdown, or the Chaos Space Marine is like, what are they taking? Are they leaning heavy into the Forge Fiends? Are the Dreadnought bodies or whatever? I think that if you're taking those, then you're going to do well, but you may not be doing as well as you could be if you leaned into it. So I'm curious as to if we're going to see some Thousand Suns break through if those are longtime players and they're trying new things.
Yeah, spot on. All right. Moving on from there, onto the Hive Mind super faction. 0 mixed Hive Mind, 1 NIDS, 1 GSC, totaling of 2 lists. Dusty, how many little tears you got rolling down your cheeks?
No, there's one there. There's a pure GSC there. I'm happy. Are you kidding? We got so many donuts for GSC. Who is this guy? I got to look up this guy's name on BCP. You are a hero, and I love you. You're gonna do so well. Do us proud.
A legend of the
do us proud,
uprising,
buddy. Do us proud.
Love it. Lastly, Eldari super faction. 2 mixed Eldari, 7 Drukhari. I think I'll do a little quick look back now, but I think Drukhari is the most prevalent faction in attendance. 1 Harlequins and 2 Craftwheels. So it's actually really healthy Eldari super faction here. We usually see around the 8, 9. We're sitting at 12 at the moment. I'm pretty happy with that. Happy to see it. But what are you guys' thoughts? Why do you think we'd see more Eldari here than otherwise? And I will confirm the faction podium is Drukhari. Straight after that, I think is AdMech and generic Adeptus Astartes at 5. And then it's Death Guard equal at 5, T-Suns at 4, and Orcs at 4 for our top 3 super factions in attendance.
I know nobody wants to hear this, but Harlequins are still good.
They are.
Dude, yeah.
They are.
And Codex Craftworld Eldar have a lot of indirect fire. So depending on what you expect on you seeing or how they're doing terrain, indirect fire is a winner. It could be an absolute game winner. And the lists that can pack it are going to do well. So obviously we can kind of assume that the Drukhari are not that. They're just fast moving. They're going to get over there and get in your face. Harlequins the same way, which are both aggressive list, can do really well. You're going to win a lot of games just in the fact if you move your models the max inches towards the enemy, you're going to win a lot of games in this edition.
Well, I had a close friend of mine who has a friend of his. He's trying to get back into the game, and he said, Adam, you keep your finger on the pulse. What faction would you jump in? If you were starting the game right now, what faction you would jump into thinking it's going to play kind of the same or forever? And I said Harlequins, small model count. Yeah. So small model count army, small number of units. So you don't need to go out and buy 3 of like 20 different squads. You just get like 30 troop, a couple of transports, a couple of bikes, a couple of characters, and you can make just about any list. And the thing is, the way Harlequins play, I think they're good on just about every table setup we've got. I think they play the game and
Yeah,
the
they can
mission
be
in
so
such a way.
fast. Like they just get
Exactly.
over that, move over that. They have rules that let them ignore certain things, and
Exactly. They play in such a way that I never think they're going to be bottom tier in this rule set, unless the rules completely change. Um, for 10th edition, I think they're just going to be a good evergreen middle to upper middle or top tier army. That I don't think they're just not a faction that I can see the ass falling out of,
yeah,
because the way they play the game is just good. It's just good, solid.
yeah,
Yeah, they're good in
Um,
every iteration of it, like you're saying too. And I could speak a little bit to why we don't see as many mixed Eldari or Assyriani as much anymore, because they have ridiculously good out of line of sight shooting, like really good. Dark Reapers
mm,
especially. There's just the meta right now because of all the planes that are in the meta, all of the orc out of line of sight shooting that will kill all of these things really easily. And because
oh,
they're
you just
so
have this
prevalent,
thing
you are not
standing
going to
on
get
the
the return on
ground.
that movie though.
Okay. Oh, planes are so if you can like I think it's easy to look at some of the stats on the planes and think, okay, maybe these are not where I want to be for the points, or these weapon
Yeah.
profiles are not exactly where I want to be. But when you factor in, when you give that additional thing that's not on the page about their base size, where you can move them, how far
mm,
they can move, how often they can
Mhm.
turn, and that kind of the fact that you can you can take them off the table and bring it back on later on. There's so many things that are beyond whatever it is you believe that point premium to be. If you've got a what you rank as a decent flyer in your list, you gotta I think you almost got to be asking yourself, why aren't you taking it?
Yeah,
mm.
the Flyers right now, they're hit and miss for a lot of reasons, but I think a lot of people just look at them, all the kill power, or they just die. But you got to remember too, a lot of Flyers are not going to score your points in terms of like your secondaries, aside from engage on all fronts. But you got to think that those Flyers, while they're not worth shooting at, a lot of armies, they don't want these things flying around shooting their back line. If they
Mm.
have Dark Reapers and stuff, so now they're shooting at something that isn't really valuable to you, but needs to die. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's going to kill them. So
Yeah.
it's going to
like
remove their ability to interact
exactly.
with the game.
Mm. All right, jumping down, gentlemen, to the top players in attendance. The top gentleman is Nassim Forshane. I think he's 4th ranked in the UK. Apologies if I've butchered your surname, mate. He's playing Iron Hand Successors. So, perfect example, Paul. We get to unpack one of these. He's got a Patrol and a Vanguard. Their successors, they're Born Heroes, Whirlwinds of Rage, of course. And what you see there, the reason people are doing that is because it's a great melding of the inherently good shooting and durability increasing things that Iron Hands always get, and then you add Born Heroes Whirlwinds of Range, and all of a sudden you just add this little explosive melee ability onto it, similar to what Space Wolves do. Of course, you don't get the doubling down of that explosive ability that Space Wolves do, but you get this good baseline shooting ability that you just can't underestimate sometimes. The list starts off with a Lieutenant, unit of Infiltrators, a unit of 3 Company Vets, a Redemptor Dread, 10 Devastators, 2 units of 5. Each one of them has 3 Grav Guns and a Multi-Melter, and the Sarge has 2 Chainswords. I wrote that down with lulls on the end because I think that's cute. A unit of Eliminators, and it has a Drop Pod, of course. And then he has 2 Land Speeder Storms, a Tech Marine, a Volkite Contemptor, 15 Vanguard Vets in 3 units of 5, and
Yep.
6 Eradicators. This thing slaps. This thing slaps real bad, real hard.
It does, and what I did not expect to see from some lists the last couple of weeks was how the Devastator squads are actually doing something. They're on the
Mm,
table. They're doing things, and
yeah.
that was. I mean, I want to say it's surprising, and this player has obviously figured it out and is going to use them to great effect.
Absolutely right. I think the Grav is really coming back around. Um, it procs off against things like AdMech, doesn't it? When you have especially the planes having a 3+ save, this is a very good counter unit. Drop pod down, 2 units of devs come out, or you have one starting on the table if you can keep it safe, so you don't lose 2 in the return fire. Then you can put down 2-3 planes pretty
Yeah,
well,
you got so
especially with the
many
little
multi-damage weapons that they get
yeah.
around people's neg 1 damage things or whatever. There's yeah, and just the fact, but it's one of those things like how much firepower do I dedicate to digging things out? And they can just move
Mm,
if they need to and get into position, come
yep.
through, the infantry keyword lets them just scoot on through a building, and oh well, then now you're dealing with the business end, all this firepower.
Spot on. Now, the only interesting thing I didn't see in this list, as soon as I see a unit like 6 Eradicators, I expect to see an Apothecary. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm taking a 310 point unit of beefy toughness 5
Is
boys.
that one unit?
Yeah, well, it's a 6-man. He can divvy it up to 2 3-mans.
Okay.
So that's he's got the 4 heavy melters and he's got 2 multi-melters in that unit, which I think is the right way to do it at the moment. Especially when you give him a couple of you mitigate some of the issues with the -1 to hit through some of the clever things that Iron Hands get.
He's like, I'm Iron Hands. I'm not taking any wounds anyway, so just
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly right. I'm just gonna boss it
Apothecary.
on the chin.
Yeah.
On the chin.
I'm falling a little bit out of love with apothecaries in a lot of builds, just because if you're having like small MSU units, a lot of the time they're just going to die. Like if they're
Yeah.
getting focused down, they need to get killed. Like your apothecary now is more like a punishment to your opponent for not focus firing enough at this point, I think.
Well, exactly. It punishes them for a poor choice. Just as soon as
Yeah.
you have a poor choice and you
Mind
don't do
you-
enough, well, you do nothing.
Exactly. In like a Dark Angels list where you're like spamming Terminator or something like that, then like you're getting your
Well,
bang for
exactly.
your buck completely. But a lot of the MSU style lists that I still see apothecaries in, that confuses me because like I was saying, if you're not killing that unit,
Well,
you're already in a bad spot. The apothecary is just like take that too.
Yeah, see, I've dropped off apothecaries in a lot of my aggressive lists just because I find it's hard for them to keep up, unless I'm playing Dark Angels in case he's on a bike and can buzz around. But things like White Scars, Blood Angels, Paul can probably speak to it better with Blood Angels, having a Sang Priest is pretty
Absolutely.
necessary. And because you can put him on a jump pack, he makes
the jump pack it gets rid of a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
The jump pack is a big deal. And that's why I said Dark Angels too, because having them on the bike is also a big deal too.
Yeah.
Right? They can move twice if he needs to.
Well, exactly right. As soon as you put both units of devs in the pod, you're like, well, I can't drop near the apothecary because I need to go over there, and then what's the point? So yeah, exactly right. So I was just wanted to unpack that for people because a lot of people at home might be scratching their head like, why isn't having an apothecary? Very good reason.
Very good reason.
All right, gents. Next of the gentlemen in attendance, we have Brody Middleton. He's the 12th ranked UK player. He's playing Eldari, so it's great we get to unpack one of these as well.
All right.
He's got a spearhead, which is spearhead of craft worlds, expert crafters, masterful shots, and a battalion of Harleys, which is soaring spite. He has a Farseer, a unit of 3 shining spears, a unit of 5 warp spiders, 9 dark reapers, 3/3 with the tempest launchers, as you'd expect.
Yep.
A lynx, which is the first time I've seen this bad boy since 7th edition.
What? Really?
A single night spinner. Yeah. First one I've seen.
It's got a nice cannon.
It's big, fatty cannon.
Big D cannon.
Shadowseer, Troop Master, 20 troop, 40/5, each one with fusions and an embrace, and 4 Star Weavers to buzz them around. I actually really like this list.
It's got the
boys.
mobility. I told you,
really like
you push things forward, and anything that's a hard target. Yeah. Oh, somebody brought knights. Well, this link's going to handle that, and of course he's maximizing his out of line of sight firepower, which I think is, as we mentioned, absolutely deadly. The Night Spinner is pretty good. The Night Spinner can basically sit outside of line of sight, and as long as you've got something to hide its tank profile behind, then you're going to get consistent damage out of it every single turn.
Well, you think about the size of the terrain necessary to hide your line of sight battery for that unit, and it's literally 1 tank and 9 25mm bases. It's not hard at all, and you've got this beautiful line of sight battery that's in your back, into your first away thing, and it just sits there all game. A couple of buffs here or there from a Farseer, or putting Doom and Jinx if you're going to be moving up the board, screened by the Harlequins. The only thing I've never got my head around of is whether or not all the fusions are worth it, or whether or not maybe half of them should fusions, or maybe even no fusions, and just more units. See, I don't know though. I'm not an Eldari player.
100%. I will say this. Generally, you want to go into one or the other. Putting both weapons on Harlequins is usually a waste because you want them to focus on one job.
Yeah.
And usually, if you're taking fusions, if you get in a spot that you need to fight something in close combat, your combat weapons are going to do just fine. Like
your regular old just blades are going to do fine.
Exactly, the regular old blades are going to be fine. But fusions in the Soaring Spite with those boats flying around, oh my god, are they ever worth it? They are
because
so good. Like they're not 100% consistent. I get that, but when they work and they're on average, they should do work. They kill what you need to kill. And they have so much mobility.
Fair. I suppose as a Dark Angels player, I've always just been like, ha, you wasted points.
Okay,
bring them on. Come on. Let's come on.
When your army's getting wounded on 4s by these meltas, sure. I guess you could argue it's not worth it.
Yeah, this list does not want to come up against Inner Circle. I don't think
it does not. It definitely does not.
Well, we're running short on time, so I'm gonna keep us going. I do want to spend. I think this list, if you're building Eldari, the links may be questionable because it's a big boat. It's going to be hard to hide, but I mean,
it's probably his love. It's probably his love affair. He's like, I love this model. I'm playing this model. This is
Otherwise, but everything in this list is good, and the list,
Exactly
the links is probably good too. As a links owner myself, I would certainly welcome another chance to use it, but I think that's where he could just be taking it for exactly what you're talking
Having a
about.
destroyed one on a Blood Angel base doesn't count as owning it.
That's right.
Just
Just
well,
wanted to point that out.
It's on my
fair.
Titan. It's on my knight painted to look like from the Blood Angel Legion.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, last gentleman of renown in attendance from the rankings, at least. Tom Maidlow, he's 14th ranked in the UK. He's playing Drakari Triple Patrol, but it's not conventional. This is a gentleman from the Real Space Raiders podcast, I believe. Please go over and support them. Amazing group. Is Poison Tongue, Blackheart, and Artists of Flesh, the -1 damage coven. 2 single Urgles, an Archon, unit of Trueborn, 2 Raiders, a medium-sized Court of the Archon, another Archon, a unit of Trueborn as well, so it's 2 units of Trueborn, unit of Warriors to go along with, 2 units of Incubi, 2 units of Hellions, 2 units of Raiders, so that's 4 Raiders total now, a Homunculus, 3 units of Rax, 2x2 Talos with Heat Lancers, and these guys have -1 damage on them, so they actually become pretty fearsome.
That's interesting. I almost feel like you should go on heavier on the Talos and stuff if you're going to include them at all. But
That's what I keep thinking.
Yeah.
Like I always see all these 2x2s, and if you're gonna go that heavy into the -1 damage stuff, you should bring more. I feel like you should bring more. I get they're expensive, and you with Dark Eldar, you have such an MSU power. You kind of want to spread it out more. Do you really need more than that? No. But if you're leaning into it,
this is a linchpin. It's like, okay, well, while you're trying to deal with all this other stuff, all these scalpels on the side, this is just going to go up there and get me some points, or take you off some points.
Well, I can certainly tell you the thinking by some of the players that have made these choices. You see a lot of units of 2 Chronos, and now we're starting to see some Talos come into the mix as well, because people have found that people's melee units can just kill 3 Talos. Like an Uber melee unit can just go in and kill 3 Talos. You could probably speak to this. Without the -1 damage, of course, if they're Dark Technomancers. A fatty unit of Sangard kill 3 Chronos.
Yeah.
They just go in.
I mean, they kill most things.
Dead.
But I'd say Vanguard Vets, a 5-man unit of Vanguard Vets goes in there.
Hey, you know what's really good at killing Talos, guys? Rock Cutters. GSC, baby.
I love it when PJ's not here to spruik Slanesh. Dustin's here to spruik.
I got
GSC.
this. Don't worry. I'm filling the gap.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do.
It's the seesaw balance of our podcast. It has to be this way. There must always be. But 2 Talos or 2 Chronos still do enough damage to justify taking them, especially 2 Chronos. They still do most of the damage. Hell, a lot of the time Chronos go up and they kill people's screens, kill people's little objective holders, and then really get in the way and be frustrating to pick up in return. Whereas you could push out that same dedicated melee unit that will go in and kill 3. It still hits that breakpoint that you need to send that same dedicated melee unit to go and kill 2. Because like one small unit won't kill 2, but a big unit will overkill 3. And so a unit of 2 still does enough damage to get the job done it needs to do. And also the other issue is they only have 2 heavy slots in the damn patrol, because they would take 3 units of 2 if they could, I guarantee.
Fine. I thought we were gonna have a good discussion on this, but you just come in with so much freaking logic there.
Yeah,
and it's just like, okay, I guess let's move on. I guess you nailed that.
Comprehensive in a nice little package.
Comprehensive. That was bang on.
Somebody thought about that.
Somebody did. And so, gentlemen, who do you think's taking this one? Because we actually have a decent Eldari representation. We actually have decent, good amount of Marines as well. And hell, we have a decent amount. So the super faction breakdown: 12 Imperium, 16 Space Marines, 13 Chaos, which is legit, 6 Xenos, which is on the lower side, 2 GSC, so a hive mind, just happy to be there, and 12 Eldari. So it's actually a good spread.
With the saturation of Drakari, I think Drakari are going to be the list that take it. If I'm picking just on saturation of armies and what is there. If I want to go with my gut, like this is where I feel like there's not even a single Blood Angel player there. So I'm going with the Custodes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
One single Custodes player. You are the TPM, pinned champion of the event. I love it. I will go. Look, Drakari probably going to win this, but I'm going for an Orc player. Orc player, go for it. Do it. Make it happen.
Orc player, eh?
Dustin, what you think?
I have to lean towards Drakari. I want to go away from it, but it's just with what I'm looking at, the faction breakdown and the lists that I've been seeing, Drakari.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Harvey House says, "Where's Dustin's tank top?" Next episode, if you're just tuning in, it's the first time, we will all be sleeveless.
Nice. I like your
Really?
commitment,
Oh, okay.
boys. Join me.
I'll make sure to do
Join
that
me.
next time.
I'll join in. We'll see how anybody comes back. But so now we're going to a segment. See how we end up every one of our shows called the Fuego Rapido, where we put up a list of 5 topics, sometimes 4 or 5 topics, and then we run them down. We give ourselves 2 minutes to expound on them. And then once those 2 minutes are up, we're done and we move on. No matter where we're at in the conversation, go on to the next topic. As you can see up here at the Fuego Rapido, I'm going to start it off as soon as the clock starts ticking. Do win rates actually matter? Dustin?
Do you mean win rates in like tournaments? And you're talking about how to rate factions?
Does the stat of a win rate, the fact that it even exists, does that actually factor in to how good a particular codex or what the outcome of a particular game is going to be on any given Sunday, as it were?
Okay, good. I like this question. No, it doesn't.
Ooh.
There are so many factors at this. There are so many people at so many different levels of so many tournaments, so many different factors in there. Win rate does not matter. I'm sorry. There is a little bit of fact in there, and it kind of helps you kind of gauge it a little bit. But because there's such a wide variety of players in different places, at different skill levels playing it, and if you're tracking all of these win rates, it's not factual. I'm a stats guy, so I want it to be real. the way the hobby works right now, I don't feel like it's value.
You heard it. He's a stats guy, and the numbers don't matter. Adam Camilleri,
right.
What you got?
So I think it does a little bit matter more than what Dustin says, but it is not the be-all, end-all some people like to believe it is. It's a good way to get an indication of game health, to get an indication of how good and how well this game is going, or the polarities, or who's at the bottom, who's at the top, but it is not indicative of one faction being alive, one faction being dead, unplayable, not playable, etc., etc. A 9th edition, 8th edition has been a great additions for playing whatever the hell you want, and it being pretty damn enjoyable most of the time. Yeah. But when you get some, like, last weekend AdMech had 77% win rate. That has to indicate something.
So I agree with Dustin, and I don't want to split the hair or whatever, is the fact that sample size and what you're looking at, like you can use that number to enforce one thing or take a temperature of one single point in time, but I do think that it doesn't really matter because there's so many factors, and there's just changes that can be made that, sorry, we're out of time, that not everybody might want to make.
Paul's on my side. That was the important thing.
Tea or coffee? This is this could be divisive here.
Well, you go ahead, Adam. You got a cup in your hand. Tea.
I was a coffee man. I was a beautiful Italian espresso coffee man for 26 of my 34 years on this earth, and now I'm straight up tea every day, all day. I will drink tea nonstop. I have a glass of Earl Grey every single morning because that's what Picard would do. But that's not why I do it. I do it because I like
hot. I was going to ask if you had Earl Grey hot. Earl Grey hot.
Yeah, hot Earl Grey, no sugar, straight black. That's it. Love it.
I'm coffee all the way. I mean, like, of course, we're from the South, so we have sweet tea. But this warm tea is like, what on earth is this? Why would you do this to yourself? Maybe if you're in a hotel and you've exhausted all of the little coffee packets, you have to have something.
Well, see, that's my issue. Yeah, crappy tea is better than crappy coffee, in my opinion. A beautiful, lovely, like, espresso machine made coffee is better than tea, generally speaking.
You are a weird man.
I'm a strange man. I'm well cultured. I can't say the same for you, savages.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, we got the War Mistress agrees with you, Adam.
So you got somebody on your team.
You have at least one person on your side.
At least one person on your team. Okay,
yeah.
I can see that.
I appreciate you, Tanya.
Okay, it depends on the day, or the time of day, because I drink both. In the morning, I drink coffee. At night, I drink tea. In fact, I have tea right now, but in the morning, I'll have coffee. So I like both. It just depends on what my mood is and what time it is.
See, I'd rather just have water or nothing. Suffer. No, I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not that emotionally invested in it, is what I mean.
You seem pretty emotionally invested.
That is my actual opinion.
That was pretty hard.
But if you were sitting next to me drinking tea, like, okay, man wants some tea. All right, Black Templars. Will the new Black Templar Codex make an impact?
Hey, 40K question now. Okay, good.
Who do you want to start? The question.
So Dustin, we'll start with you because I know Adam has feelings on this.
Oh, he's biting his finger right now. He
Yeah.
wants to speak right now.
Small.
Will they
opinion.
make it? Well, every single codex that comes in new will always make an impact. It's a matter of how long it takes it to make an impact, I think. Because Black Templars are not one of those armies that people are going to run to pick it up and be like, all right, I'm going to start dominating the meta. There are hidden tricks in there. It's not going to be a pick up and play and dominate the meta. So it's going to take a little while for it to start adjusting the meta. I don't think it'll adjust it drastically, but any codex that comes in will definitely hit it somehow. At least impact something.
You think any 9th edition modern codex is going to have an impact and
100%.
influence the game itself? Adam,
However minor or major, but
I'm going to yield the entire rest of the time to you. What you got?
all right, here we go. I'm sitting
Okay, my analogy is that Black Templars will hit the pond that is the 40k meta, make a big splash, and then all the ripples will settle to a glassy sheen, and you'll never hear of them, and then they'll resurface in about 6 months from now.
You rehearsed that, didn't you?
Yeah, I'll be sitting there, but that's why I was biting my finger. I was like, "This is a good analogy."
Do you think that they actually will, when they'll make that impact to where they will spike to where enough people will change what they take to come and deal with that to force them out for a bit?
The tools that they bring don't have a great level of functionality in the current environment, the current meta, because the meta right now is polarized by speed, which is one thing that they don't have. And also the meta, their book is is really bunched around increasing the durability of medium level durability units, which isn't
in a Land Raider Crusader all the way across the table.
Yes, I can lose a third of my army turn one. Lovely. But I'm still going to do that. But yeah, I think that the meta that they need isn't the meta right now. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, 3 to 6 months, they'll be really nice.
All right, here we go. This could actually be. So I want to hear some folks in the chat too. What is the best Warlord trait in the game?
Oh my god!
I have an opinion. Me and Paul went.
So
Richard, our producer, put this in, and me and Paul went through 4 or 5 codexes, each being like, "This one's good, and this one's good."
I don't have any prep for this.
I think Gloaming Bloat is probably the best Warlord trait in the game. Be able to turn off rerolls. That's it's an uncommon ability. It's not just a one-time thing. Is it if you're around? Anything that influences a game mechanic that many people rely on to do things, I think is very powerful.
Okay.
Fair. My one is the Lucius Warlord trait, Luminescent Blessing. In your command phase, you select one Lucius core unit within 9 inches of the Warlord, not 3, not 6, freaking 9 inches, and they get transhuman for the turn. I think that is ridiculously bonkers. If it was 3 inches, I'd be so much happier because at least they're you're chained together. But 9 inches just gives this so much freedom, and it's so uber powerful.
Got some sound off in the chat. All the Spaceful traits, the Rights of War.
It's a good call.
Rights of War, it's a good one, because you just get OBSEC for everything that's around it, which is OBSEC is always powerful. I wouldn't say it's one of the best though. It's definitely a must take though. I don't know.
Well, I mean that puts it on. That's up there. Dustin, you got something? You got 34 seconds to.
Well, I don't know if I have enough time because I got to go through too many books, too many Warlord traits.
Yeah, well, so I guess to round us out, what I look for is things that do that, have some type of unique ability. I think, or anytime you see that in a codex, you've got to really pause and go, let me walk around and let me explore.
No, you know what? I think I have to agree with Paul. Turning off rerolls is way too strong because everybody relies on them. Everybody does.
That's fair.
Turning that off, nobody's really ready for that.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've played something or had something that had no rerolls, and every single time people ask, "Okay, I'm going to reroll," no, you can't reroll. No, you can't reroll.
Self-Sealer and Wise Orator, those are good.
Those are good.
Fire Drake just threw out Selfless Heal. I got to agree. If you just look for a thing that just adds sheer value, how many CP does that just give you that you didn't have to spend in addition to making a thing you already do just flat better?
Raw power.
Selfless Heal is up there as well.
Here's a nice one. So here's the last topic for the evening. Are we over Cadia?
No.
Listen, you can take that many ways.
He was really harmed when he was answering that.
Because you can take this. Are we just done with Cadia? The planet, the story, the troops. I don't think that we are. I think that Cadia and Astra Militarum are core concepts. They're what humanity
Mm.
can bring to the table of this theater of war.
I'm very happy for Cadia to continue being part of Astra Militarum. I never want them to go away. I actually don't like that they're in Octarius. I actually don't like that because that was an option to throw another regiment a bone, and they chose to just give it to the one they're giving everything else. So I wish it was for Steel Legion, because I wish it was for Steel Legion. I wish it was for Catachan or something else, because I feel like it would almost thematically make more sense as well than the guys who just got their asses kicked on this side of the galaxy somehow being on this side of the galaxy at the same time.
Well, they had to move, man. I don't know if you know that, but there's
hustle.
There's an under construction sign on their former place,
Creed's just like on the megaphone, make your starships move again in the shooting phase. They just double moved their way over to Octarius.
Doesn't Creed be anywhere? Oh, wait till you see what's in Octarius. So I've actually, I think that people are going to like, what it brings to some of those factions, even if they
I'm excited. I
are doing double duty in the galaxy.
I got my Tyranids. I want to see what I'm getting there. I'm excited for that. But that said, I'm so done with Cadia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm actually
so done with Cadia.
Fair. I won't tell you you're wrong.
I like
it's enough. It's enough.
The whole Cadia. Anytime I see a Cadia meme, I stop and I do what I do to see if it's funny or not, because I know I know what to expect. I know what we're going to see here, but I still take the time for it. Hey, well, that's it. That's our show for the evening. We so if you are joining us for the first time, we do this each and every Thursday. That is the name of the show. The Thursday show is there for a reason. But what we do on this show is run down some of the largest tournaments on the weekend. We talk about, as you may have heard, that we talk about what you're going to see there, what you may need to account for if you're going there, how to do well, especially if you're jumping into that area or environment, or you just want to check in on those players happening somewhere in the world.
Yeah, it's spot on. Now, if you thought this episode was good, tune in next week. We're going to have an absolute juggernaut week. Dusty's going to be on. Dusty's running a major next weekend. He's going to be here to talk all about it. We're going to throw some shade at this event. He's probably going to
biggest Canadian major to date.
Oh, it's exciting, man. We got SoCal that weekend as well, and we got the Goonhammer major over in the UK. 3 majors that weekend. Tune in. It's going to be super, super exciting.
Please. Please tune in next week. Please leave us 5-star reviews if you're hearing this after wherever podcasts are put out. If you're on any place we're watching the video, please leave some comments. It's a quick and easy way that helps the algorithms to help other people find us, help support the network, the other shows in the network, and you might even get notified when we do something if you click the right thing. So you'll make sure you'll be here next week.
And thanks to everybody who tuned in on the competitive 40K Facebook page. We're up there for the first time. Hopefully that was a good ride for you guys, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thanks everybody. We'll see y'all,
guys.